Hello everyone, welcome back to another Friday and another casual champion review. Okay, I didn't know what that was, but
I have important work to get back to.
oh, exactly, Heimerdinger. I completely forgot that I was supposed to be recording the casual champion review for today because I've been so caught up in recording the season 2023 rewind. I just completely skipped my mind. I was supposed to be playing Heimerdinger today, probably because Heimerdinger is unfortunately, Arcane may deceive you, not that interesting of a champion. Hold on, I gotta switch to the right. Walk cycle. There we go. Yeah. That's the classic Heimerdongus I know. You know what is also Dongus? What fan art section. Look at, I'm surprised at how many Heimerdinger fan arts there are actually. I know that, you know, as interest in the series dwindles over time and people don't want to people don't want to keep up with Casual Champion Review as much or the fan art section challenge as much. It's definitely lessened over time, and it saddens me a little, but it's also, you know, I understand. But there's so many Dongus arts, I don't know why. Thank you, fellas. They're all amazing. You're great. Okay, so this is the first time I think I played Heimerdinger in... Whenever... I made a video ages ago, back when I was still kind of experimenting and figuring out what my channel even was Velmerdinger, was Vel'Koz's Heimerdinger bot lane. Whenever that video was made, that was the last time I think I played Heimerdinger. I do not play this character very often. It's mostly because he's kind of like Malzahar, you know? He's in that class of mages where you don't really think. You just kind of press the button and the character plays itself. He's... Versing Lux, I don't even really have to do very much. He's just going to throw her E at my turret and auto-attack it once. Yep. There it goes. And it's gone. So this is going to be a very boring matchup for a very boring champion. So as for Mr. Dongus Dinger's lore, he really doesn't have any. I was actually kind of befuddled because usually when I go and do these casual champion reviews, I know the lore mostly, but I want to make sure that I know, you know, exactly what they're doing instead of just making things up as I go along. So I go back and read their bio to get a bit of a refresher. Heimerdinger's, I don't remember it being that short. That's shorter than Cho'Gath's. That's shorter than Shaco or Kog'Maw. That has to be the shortest bio in the whole game, right? Like I can't think of any character who has a bio shorter than that. I mean, I always knew that Heimerdinger didn't really have much lore. He's kind of just the crazy kooky guy in Piltover that does science. But that's it. That's all he's got. His bio just says that he's a crazy kooky guy in Piltover who does science. And he got a little bit of extra lore here and there. He was in that comic with Ziggs. But I don't think that comic is canon anymore because that had glamour in it, which for the fellas who don't know what glamour is, for a while there, Piltover's whole deal was that they were very, very racist towards Yordles. So to exist in Piltover, Ziggs and Heimerdinger had to use this special sciencey goop called glamour to make it so that they would appear as human. And then that whole glamour thing then got further retconned into it being that actually all Yordles have glamour, so that people who are scared of Yordles will see them as human, but people who aren't will see them as Yordles, which makes it'd be a very confusing situation if you encounter a group of two, like a couple, and one person isn't afraid of Yordles and one person is. Congratulations, you have now sent them both into a downward spiral of not knowing which is the real Yordle or not. But the whole thing with glamour has been retconned entirely now, so that comic technically shouldn't even be canon. So Heimerdinger's canon appearances for a character that has no lore at all has appeared in a lot of things. You know, he's in Legend of Runeterra, he showed up in Hextech Mayhem. But again, it doesn't really expand his character. It just kind of solidifies that they found a new voice actor for him. I mean, did they? Is Heimerdinger's voice actor in League the same as it is in Legend of Runeterra and Hextech Mayhem? Because it sounds different. He sounds a lot squeakier in League, but whoa. So really, most of the lore with Heimerdinger is just being a funny science guy in Piltover, and he's an inventor, I guess. Most of the Heimerdinger lore that we have is from Arcane, and technically I think people don't realize how small of an appearance he had in Arcane. He didn't actually have didn't have that much screen time, I should say. But now Arcane's canon, so I guess that's going to be the canon version of Heimerdinger, and I kind of prefer that, mostly because he has some actual nuances to his character and his motivations besides just I do science because the science. Also, after reading his bio, his first name is Cecil. Cecil B. Heimerdinger. Does he look like a Cecil? I don't know. Dude, I love, it's really weird. So for those who don't know, because Heimerdinger got a visual update a while ago, and there we go, that little run, that was his old run animation, whereas this bouncy one, that's the new one. But for this rework, you can like press dance and it will just go to the new run animation, but it keeps cycling back and forth. I remember it used to be a toggle, but now it just seems to do it automatically. Like that's the animation he has when he's running towards turrets of any kind. So I guess instead of talking about his League lore, like in the canon Runeterran universe, we talk about his Arcane lore. And he's a professor that has existed in Piltover for many a few hundred years, a founding member of the council, and has helped shape many of the great Piltover technologies. And then, I mean, you guys have seen Arcane, you know the whole storyline. Blah, blah, blah. Terrified of magic, lacks empathy, cannot comprehend how short mortal lives are, has a bit of a turnaround, meets Echo now with the Lost Children of Zon, or Firelights. I am curious to see where they go with Heimerdinger. I would really like the idea of them expanding upon his connection with Echo and him learning more about mortal lives and how long his is in comparison, that he can't take the mortal lives for granted. I'd really like to see more of that, because he is a fun character to watch, mainly just how he looks. It is kind of strange, the idea inherently of a Yordle scientist. Again, like Heimerdinger was designed when they didn't really figure out what Yordles are, but Yordles are inherently magical beings. So it doesn't really make any sense in the current age there to be like a Yordle scientist. But I actually think if we take into context with Arcane, it kind of works. And I mentioned this for the fellows who watched the ranking all the Legends of Runeterra redesigns video. I talked about Rumble. And I mentioned specifically with Rumble that I didn't really like how kind of pristine the mech looked, how kind of well put together it did. And I would really like if Yordle magic worked a lot like how Orc magic does in Warhammer 40k. So the way Orc magic works is that they don't really know how to build things. They just throw a bunch of scrap and garbage together. But it works because they're magical and they just believe that it works. So they can just make a whole spaceship out of nothing, believe that it will travel through space, and it can. They believe that it'll have holes in it, but they just believe that they can breathe in space and they can't. I think that would be hilarious, and I would love for that to be the way that Yordle magic works with Rumble and his mechs, because he has an affinity for scrap and garbage. So it makes sense. He could just throw a bunch of scrap and garbage and make it work. But then I got a couple comments saying, well, you know, that could be fun, but it wouldn't really make any sense for Heimerdinger, because Heimerdinger is all about science and building technology. So what's the point? Yordle on Yordle violence. What's the point of having him be a scientist if he's gonna just be able to make random magic stuff anyway? I think you play that into Arcane and his fear of magic. He became a scientist because he's terrified of what magic can do. Because it's very clear in Arcane anyway that Heimerdinger has a high magic prejudice. So I'd like to believe maybe even in his own dimension within Bandle City, if they ever tie into Bandle City somehow in Arcane, which I doubt they will, but someone also misused power there, or their magic, and he's terrified. So he's trying to use science as a workaround. Mages! It's hard to commentate on him because, like, again, he barely has anything to him. He's just some funny, quirky science guy, just a big ball of hair. I mean, before, he was just a big brain. Like, the original Heimerdinger was just this massive brain goop. Even his mustache was made to look like a brain. And it didn't really work for Yordle aesthetics now, so when they reworked him, they changed it all to hair. And I kind of like the hair thing because all his little robot arms are stuck in there, like when he plays in the turret. It's kind of cute and gives him a unique design compared to the other Yordles. I really love the big googly glasses. He's got really funny animations as well. I don't know what to say about... Okay. I don't really know what to say about Heimerdinger design-wise, because it's like, if you imagine kind of a goofy Yordle scientist, well, that's about what would come up. I don't think Heimerdinger design-wise is anything too extravagant, but he serves his purpose, you know? Very iconic to League of Legends as well. Yordle on Yordle violence. Kind of funny looking at him in-game, though, because he just looks like a giant head. I mean, most of the Yordles look like that, too. But especially with him, with how bright yellowish orange his head is compared to the very muted grayish green of his coat. It's just a walking bobblehead. I think that was kind of the intention, though, because he's supposed to be the super smart scientist guy of League, so they wanted to make him a parody of Einstein, Probably beforehand, even more so, because he was just a big brain with the big goofy glasses and mustache. Thankfully, he was visually updated at a time when Riot had finally figured out what they wanted to do with Yordle. So they gave him the big poofy ears and the proper Yordle proportions. So compared to the other Yordles, he looks very different, very visually distinct. But he at least still looks like a Yordle. I think modern Vigar... In Wild Rift, they gave him the little tiny ears, so that helps a bit, but characters like Vigar and Fizz especially do not look like modern-day Yordles, whereas Heimerdinger, yeah, works well enough. I really am struggling to think of what else to say about this character, because he's just so middle of the road, with no lore behind him at all. He's just some guy in Piltover. Thankfully, the whole glamour thing got cleared up, because there was they introduced in Legend of Runeterra the statue of Piltover, like the University of Piltover, and there's a giant statue of Heimerdinger. So it's like the statue glamored up or what? But no, now that glamour's been retconned, it's just everyone knows that Heimerdinger's a Yordle, and they're fine with that, which... I think that also works because racism is Demasia's whole thing. I feel like if we make the Piltovans racist, they're already super snooty upper-class elites, so we don't need them to be racist as well. I guess we can move on to gameplay already. It feels weird. Usually, like, we're a bit in. I don't know how long this game is going to go, but Heimerdinger's gameplay is just, like, probably the reason why I don't play him. I think the idea of Heimerdinger as this very goofy scientist guy... Rats! Is funny, and I'd like to play as a mad scientist, but he's just so... It's like Malzahar. It doesn't feel like you think. You just place turrets, walk around turrets, throw a bomb every now and again, throw some rockets, and just exist in the general area. It's goofy and stupid in a cheesy, fun kind of way, but I can't fathom how anyone could main this character. I feel like after 1 or 2 games, I've had my fill of Heimerdinger for another 3 years. I think the audio's desynced with that animation. That I did the wow way too early there. I don't really know what that was. What else do I feel like I'm drawing a blank here. I really don't I don't know what else to say about Heimerdinger. I guess his skins. He's got some good ones. He's got Dragon Trainer. He's got the, in quotations, legendary skin of Space Invader or Alien Invader, whatever they called it. But he's got a lot of really crappy skins, though. Oh, he's got abs Heimerdinger with the pool party. I don't know why they gave him abs. I think it's just hard to make skins for Heimerdinger, because no matter what you do, you have to incorporate the turrets somehow. And usually, it's very mediocre. So I think that's why Dragon Trainer Heimer works so well, because the idea of turning all of his turrets into little baby dragons is just so genius and adds so much... new to the idea that his turrets are actual living beings instead of these just static objects they place and Lux kills in 2 seconds. I really am. Maybe I'm just like stressed out of trying to finish the season 2023 rewind, but I really don't know what else to say about Heimerdinger. Like he's fine. I don't really know how much longer this game's gonna go on for. I hope it's not too much longer because, you know, we just get back to work in the season 2023 rewind. That'd be nice. I guess final closing thoughts on Heimerdinger. He is perfectly average. He's not especially inspiring. He does his job decently well. His lore in Arcane is definitely a lot better. Paints him as kind of a morally questionable character. It is trying to do the right thing, but lacks empathy. That's certainly much better than the League version is just, I am a funny science man doing science because science. And gameplay-wise is wet bread. I do not have fun playing this character outside of the one... occasional interactions where people just run at my turrets and I can just run around them, but this game has been a peak example of why sometimes it's just not fun. If characters outrange the turrets, well, whoop-de-doo, I can't do anything without them. Well, the game at long last seems to be over. I did not expect it to go that long. I did not need 31 minutes to talk about Heimerdinger, but that's fine. Next week will be the start of the new year. First Casual Champion review of the new year, and it's Illaoi. I'm so excited. I love Illaoi. You so much, you guys. All right. So I'll see you then. Thank you for watching. Have a happy new year, everybody. All right.